Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? And yes, I know I've said I wasn't going to do a podcast today, but it's raining cats and dogs out there. So let me start off with a piece of scripture I'm going to read. Oh, clap your hands, oh, you people, shout unto the Lord with the voice of triumph for the Lord Most High. He is terrible. He's the great king over the earth. He shall subdue the people under us and the nations under our feet. And it's nice seeing that. When you hear subdue the people and nations under our feet, you're thinking, man, we're going to conquer these nations and knock them out. But we learn that to subdue the people and nations under our feet is simply to have an influence on them and to be able for them to join with us in love and goodness. So that's all it means, really. Uh, Dominion is a different thing in the kingdom than it is, how other people look at dominion. Other people look at it as control over other people. That's not what it's about. Influence, not control. It's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Anyways, guys, I want to just get into what we're going to talk about today, and still those values I just spoke about to you. They're important values, and that's why I'm on the airwaves right now. Shout out to each and every one of you out there in uh, in the internet land, and anybody who is receiving this podcast. I hope that you're blessed by it. I will try and go to work after this. We'll see how it goes. So I got some stuff, I got some exclusives, and I got some other things that are not exclusives that I've already posted up on social media. Let's get to it, shall we? You can always comment in the chat section. Feel free to comment in the chat section. So this is something that is basically old news. I talked about this at length, okay? That the media and its presence in Batman v Superman, particularly because we're focusing on Batman v Superman right now, if you haven't noticed. In Batman v Superman, the media played a huge role in that movie. Like, media was used throughout. We were seeing reporters, a vast amount of reporters. And this here basically kind of quantifies just how much the media had input and just how much we saw people of the media in the movie at different points in the movie. Now, of course, Superman, he works in the Daily Planet. So he works among media, right? And so we've seen in just about every Superman movie the Daily Planet on display. Okay, we've seen sometimes even television stations on display. However, for a Superman movie, this has been the most heavily media centric comic book movie, or probably even movie ever, because the amount of people who actually play principal roles as media in this movie, I try to quantify it to show you just how much of the cast was involved in this. And we have tons of people. I mean, you just look at this here, just quantified in terms of the cast itself. And the interesting thing about this, unlike I think other superhero movies, even though there are one or two that have real people from the real world who have been in there, is that it's very authentic in terms of we actually have media people from media houses and people who do what they do in the media in this movie by their own name. And that's just to show you that this movie is grounded in our world. Okay, take for instance Vikram Gandhi, Andrew Sullivan, Charlie Rose, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Jon Stewart, Soledad O'Brien, Dana Bash, Carrie Birmingham, Nancy Grace, Erica Erickson, Anderson Cooper, Brooke Baldwin, Tom Luganbill, Dave Pash, Jay Towers, Danny Mooney. All of these people I just spoke about, they're actually people who are in media, like Alan Longstreet. What else we have here? Alan Longstreet's another one. Tell you another one in a minute. Andy Randawa. Andy Randawa. Okay. All of these people I just mentioned there, they are actually people who have been participated. And Mary Beth Sheridan. All of these people participate in media. These are real media people. And I love how Zach approached the media in so many different ways. He showed the behind the scenes media stuff. He showed it from the forefront. He showed it from the perspective of somebody watching media. He showed it from the perspective of people in the presence of the media. It's just really cool, the different perspectives he gave on that. And if you call that stylized filmmaking, so be it. But I don't think that's stylized filmmaking. And again, it's rooted to me in the realism of the story. And to me, the media, the military, the first responders, the medical people, the even the teachers. We even saw a teacher in there. We saw the teaching and child care. We saw there's very subtle little things. There was a sexual harassment book inside of Perry White's The Daily Planet. It was like a little hint in there. I don't know how many people paid attention to that, and this is why this movie paid attention to gender, not only gender equality, but also how we treat each other, gender fairness and equity. So Zach covered a lot of different topics, and there's a lot of stuff inside of this film. And that's because if you look at the art department and the people in the art department responsible for bringing out this film, there were a lot of women in the art department who had their input into how this film was shaped and looked. And that's a very important thing to understand, that the filmmakers behind the scene can add all these extra elements to a film because they happen to be, we happen to have a balance between the sexes, or a much more balanced in the sexes kind of film, so that the portrayal is seen through different lenses, not just men's eyes, but women's eyes as well. And so there's all these little things, people praise Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, but this is not the first time. Zack Snyder has been working with women, not only in terms of, in almost every aspect, not only in terms of art, but also the stunt. Some of the stunt directors are women, and this is the beautiful thing about, when I look at Man of Steel, and I call it a masterpiece of filmmaking, and a lot of people still are trying to be dismissive about that. And I guess it's because when I start to talk in much more detail and much more depth, and we started going to much more deeper things about this movie, all of a sudden other people are like, oh, I don't think it's that great. And there was a guy in my group, Batman v Superman lovers, and very recently he defected from the group and he left. And he was talking about, it's just a superhero film, and you can't really gain anything, you're not changed by it, and blah 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 blah. And I was listening to him as he went on at length, and kind of betrayed what he really was. And it was funny because, to me, it's funny how he started off trying to make a joke. Okay, once you see these guys try to make a joke, you can kind of figure out off the cuff, what kind of person they are. And he's really doing that, as he said, to try and escape. He's trying to deal with escapism. And it's funny because, to me, the humor in this whole thing, and the irony in the whole thing, and the paradox in the whole thing, is someone trying to make fun of something and thinking that that's great, when in fact it's a reflection of them making fun of themselves. And the irony of the situation is that they are still incapable of seeing it funny once the script is flipped on them. So they're actually making mockery of their own self through the lens of their powerlessness, and they don't realize that. And it's one of the funniest things in the world. To me, it's ironical, and that's why I said it's funny. It's ironical that the very people who are hee ha haing out here are actually the people crying out here. When you see people laughing, and they're laughing really loud, they're really crying really loud because they feel powerless. And it's the irony of the situation. This is why I don't laugh at certain jokes. To me, that certain jokes are just lame. They're lame-ass jokes. But other people go into the cinema and they laugh really hard about them, not understanding these lame-ass jokes are actually poking fun of you. You're the asshole in the whole situation. And they're making a mockery of you. And you don't realize that they're actually laughing at you, but you're laughing too. You're laughing along with them laughing at you. And it's not that you have self-deprecation or you have some awareness of self and you have a self-humor because of that. No, you are actually in ignorance of that. And that's what makes the joke so big. For me, it's a big joke because, as the Watchmen joke, it's a big joke to me because you don't even know you're laughing at your own self. And not just deprecating yourself, but actually crippling yourself. And that's that's why, when I went to the States, I used to make jokes a lot too. I was a joker, and I used to joke at people and stuff. And one guy, he was a Haitian guy. He told me, he said, that's not funny. And one day you will understand why it's not funny when it applies to you. Because I never looked at the side that, what I was saying really could apply to me. And when the joke came back on me, well, how bitter it was. And I'm only saying this to make a point. I'm making a point that a lot of people laugh at things not understanding what they're even laughing at and what the people who have produced the movie are doing to them. Yeah, it's okay to laugh at yourself if you know why you're laughing at yourself. All right. But if you don't even know why you're laughing at yourself, and the people are actually poking fun of you, they're mocking you, they're mocking your position, they're mocking your ideals. If you don't even know that's what's going on, man, you're in deep doo-doo, because you're the butt of a joke that you don't even know you're a butt of. And to me, that's the thing that's so sadistic about it. It's funny to me that these people are the people who are always looking for escapism and not willing to face reality. I got to go to work just now, though, guys. I got to make some money. But anyway, I just wanted to say this and get back to what we're saying about Batman v Superman, because, to me, there's a lot of depth to the thing. So here, when we look at these different companies in there, this gives a sense of realism to the movie, right? You got ESPN, you got Metropolis 8, you got Metropolis Network News, you got In the Moment, Metropolis 8, Metropolis Network News. They're all fictional companies, as well as Galaxy Broadcasting System, GBS. Real broadcasting systems are CNN and PBS. You have Gotham Free Press, which is a paper, which is also obviously this is from the comics. So you got a couple of comic book stations here, GBS and Gotham Free Press and Metropolis Channel 8. And you got MDN2, which we now know as Metro DC News, Channel 2. You got NPR, which is a real station, that is National Public Radio. MSNBC, which is a real broadcast. HLN, which is a real broadcast. And then the Daily Planet, which is a comic book press. So you see, all of these were inside of BvS, all of these little networks. And I thought it was just really cool, man. I don't know how I don't know if there are any other comic book movies that did so much like that. I don't think so. And Zach, again, he pulled the media element. That's what they had in the comic books as well. So it's comic booky as well. And it's also real world at the same time. And I found he is able to fuse fiction into realism so well. So that's why I enjoy that stuff. Let's move on. So talking about comic books, this is something that I did last night. Both of these have been posted up on social media already. And this is a question for you guys. Let me see if you guys can get the answer. In BvS Dawn of Justice, the nightmare scene, we're looking at the sons of Batman, formerly the mutants from The Dark Knight Returns. Is that possible? Is it possible that these guys in the background here with their visors on, they all had shades on, could be these guys here, which was once the new mutants, but now they're the sons of Batman? What do you guys think about that? What's your point of view on that? I'm interested to hear. So you see they have either visors on, I see their outfits and stuff. And this is, of course, Carrie Kelly. And I'm thinking this is kind of like, since it's post-apocalyptic, Batman formed a team of some kind. So this is his team here. And, from The Dark Knight Returns, we knew he formed a team. Then, about The Dark Knight Strikes Back, where you see him work with the team, and the team was used to kill Lex Luthor, etc. And, a Superman was a threat then still, because he was working for the government. In this case, Superman is a threat because he's kind of put on this sort of totalitarian existence, kind of like where we watch Gods Among Us, Injustice, right? But if you look in the background again, these guys have on shades. You see that guy with a punk haircut too, and the shades and stuff. It reminds me of Sons of Batman, or the mutants that they would call at the time. So I'm just saying, and then we didn't see any other women except for this woman. And so that reminds me of Carrie Kelly from The Dark Knight Returns. And we know that that Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns was an inspiration for this movie. So why not? And when you look here, so you see Carrie Kelly's the only woman we see. And when he was actually fighting and he grabbed Carrie Kelly's hand, Carrie Kelly's down below here. And here's some other new mutants that just got slaughtered and killed by the Superman soldiers. So I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying. But I'm saying it's something worth asking Zack Snyder. So if you guys could get this video to Zack Snyder on Vero, that would be cool. Or type out something to Zack Snyder asking him, is the nightmare scene, are the characters in the nightmare scene a shout out to The Dark Knight Returns, the Sons of Batman, the mutants, and is Carrie Kelly there? And just ask him, just throw it out there. to him. I would like to know what he would say about that, because I'm very curious to find out what, I'm just curious because I found these similarities. Here's another thing that comes from The Dark Knight Returns again, where Superman was referred to as a son of a bitch by Bruce Wayne. The Dark Knight Returns also calls Superman a son of a bitch, but this time it's Selina Kyle. Selina Kyle calls Superman a son of a bitch because she feels he killed Batman, even though he didn't kill Batman. And Bruce Wayne calls Superman a son of a bitch because he thinks Superman killed 1,400 people in Metropolis, even though he didn't kill 1,400 people in Metropolis. It was a different reason, but it's just very interesting how the inspiration and the motivations, that kind of takes it and now turns it into a different story. But there's this parallel between the parallel between the comic books, and especially The Dark Knight Returns, and Batman v Superman, because a lot of people would say, oh, why is Bruce Wayne calling Superman a son of a bitch and he's cursing and stuff? No, well, if you read The Dark Knight Returns, you'd see that inspiration comes from there, because Batman generally doesn't curse, right? So I'm just saying, a lot of things people just didn't pick up the information. They didn't pick it up from the comic books, because a lot of people don't read comic books, to be honest with you. But I thought it was interesting. All right, I'm going to show you guys a snippet now, and I want you to pay attention to the sound. I don't know if you guys are going to hear the sound, but I'm going to try anyway and play it. So here we go. I'm going to just turn up the volume a little bit so you guys can hear it. Enjoy. Here we go. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And to me, it's like a kettle on the fire, and it's starting to heat up, and then it starts to make a sound. It feels like a boiling rage there. And of course, the difference, in my opinion, is one, he has a fever and rage against Superman, and then when he's coming back now to save Martha, he's got this fever and rage against her kidnappers or hostage takers. So I just find that very interesting that Batman uses his fever and rage one way or the other. He sometimes uses, in this movie, he was using it for bad to kill Superman, and it changed to him using that fever and rage for good. And he was like taking out the kidnappers and stuff and killing some of them. So I just thought that was very interesting about Batman. Again, I want to see the Snyder Cut of Batman. I mean, he's evolved, I know, but I want to see the Snyder Cut. So don't forget to put in the comment section if you guys are watching, #release the Snyder Cut. Let's keep it moving. So the last thing I have to talk about is in the DCEU, there's a continuity in the trilogy and a thematic continuity. And I wanted to show you this, and not only thematically, but also visually. I still believe that we need to have the Snyder Cut, because I feel there's more to the Justice League aspect of it than what has just been said. I think that what's been said is kind of minimal, but I want to still show you, I'll do it picture by picture, the development of this and what it means, right? So this is my last meme that I put out on social media, and this one is an exclusive. You guys are the first people to see it, actually, because I like you guys like that. So here we are. Clark meets Martha. He's visiting Martha on the Kent farm. This is the Kent home right here. You can see the sun in the backdrop. This is dawn, I'm assuming. This is the morning. The beautiful sunlight blowing through the trees and everything. There's Martha and Clark together, right? And Martha speaks to Clark. And what we will be really tracking here is what Martha's comments are. Look at the visual imagery, the trees, the house, the corn in the background, right? That's the visual imagery you have to watch at. And so what's interesting about this is obviously this is springtime or something, and you see the dog there. And the interesting thing about this is, what she says. So they're having a conversation, and Martha ends up saying something about how she was worried And Clark says, well, you were worried because she was talking about how you had difficulty breathing. And Clark says, you were worried that the truth come out. And she said, the truth about you is beautiful. We saw that the moment we laid eyes on you. We knew that one day the whole world would see that. And I found that very, very interesting and poignant and powerful, because she stays consistent to that the next time she has another statement with Clark. But this time it's in BvS, and in this occasion it's in the night. It's nighttime when he visits her, and I find that very interesting, very intriguing, because BvS is more of a dark time, right? And she starts off by saying, people hate what they don't understand. Remember, she said, the world will finally see how beautiful you are, right? She said, now she's coming back here in BvS DOJ and saying, people hate what they don't understand, but they see what you do and they know who you are. You're not a killer, a threat. And so it's interesting. Now she follows up with, the whole world's going to see you're beautiful. And now she's kind of adjusted that statement in BvS. And she's saying that they know who you are. They see what you do. They know who you are. You're not a killer or a threat. And if you look at Superman's actions, all of his actions are about saving people. He's not about hunting people down, killing people, prosecuting people. That's not what he uses his power for, like Batman does. He is instead about saving people. The most you'll see in the movie every single time is he's going about trying to save people. Right? He doesn't even try to hunt down Batman and kill him or hurt him or anything. He just kind of shows up. Batman hits him. Okay. Batman runs into him. He didn't do anything to Batman. He just stood in his way. And then he just told him, look, dude, stop being the Batman. You're not helping anybody. End the story. I'm not going to say it again. And he goes. And it's interesting that for all his power, Superman's not the guy who wields his power to sort of beat down people or intimidate them. He's not really that kind of dude. And I found that interesting. It's what Martha Kent is basically saying is true. You're not a killer, you're a threat. Okay. But of course the world's kind of reacting a certain kind of way. And so that's interesting. She reiterates Jonathan Kent's line. But the more important thing is it's a continuity from what you saw in Man of Steel. She was saying that the world will see how beautiful you are. And she's saying the world still sees who you are. They see what you do. They know who you are. They see what you do. So they know who you are. But some people hate what they don't understand. And you're not a killer or a threat. He came to visit her to talk with her because he's been trying to talk with her for a while. In BvS, he tried to talk with her the first time, then he tried to talk to her a second time. Because he needs guidance. He needs some assurance. This is the kind of Superman we're dealing with so far. Now, in Justice League, God. All right, so in Justice League, it doesn't actually kind of follow that kind of continuity. It kind of goes off on a tangent. I think Warner Brothers cut out a certain portion of what Martha Kent was about to say, which would have brought a finality to this saga. All they included was she saying, "Is it really you?" And that was it. And that's why I said we need the Snyder cut, okay? This really is, I know she said they're afraid they lose you, blah, 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 but this is just not cutting it, okay? I know there's more. I know she said more, okay? You don't have to tell me. Now, Justice League, like I said before, I enjoyed the crap out of it. It was enjoyable, but I know the movie has been edited down. They cut out a whole bunch of the movie, and we know these are critical tying ends. But even though they cut out a lot from the movie, there's some interesting things I want to show you. And by the way, this is shot by Zack Snyder. What you see right there in Justice League there is the Zack Snyder moment. It's not Whedon. So first we start off here. He's come from the cornfields. They're walking towards the house. And you'll notice cornfield in the background. You see the house on the side, right? You see the tree there. You see the sunrise. Now, when you look here, it's nighttime. They're again outside the house. But notice the view. We're closer to the house than before. And we're actually circling. This thing is actually, the camera's actually pivoting and circling. You notice that? So now we're seeing them here. There's a cornfield over there. There's no tree anymore, interestingly enough. There's no more tree. They cut down the tree, I guess, or something. I don't know. But they're closer to this. Well, anyway, they're closer to uh, the ears of corn, and it looks. We still have ears of corn, but it's nighttime. I believe this is fall. All right. Now here we're actually up on the house, which I find very interesting, and they're in the cornfield. Now the sky and everything, I think Whedon had something to do with the sky and how it looks, and so they kind of tweaked the look and made it kind of more red, which was just freaking annoying because we know that's not what it looked like with Zack Snyder. I'm pretty sure about that. But nonetheless, there's this sort of reddish sky, so that was kind of tweaked. It is what it is. But the interesting thing is now we are at the house. We're at the home. We're getting closer and closer to home, and we're pivoting. You can see that the camera is turning everything, and so we're turning into them. And here she is coming to greet him with a hug. She always greets him with a hug, and so they're greeting with a hug. And then she says, "Is it only you?" And there's Lois Lane on the side here. So where there was a dog in the beginning, now we have Lois Lane. Remember, the dog was her companion. She still has a dog, by the way, but Lois Lane is there, and there's Clark there. And I just believe there's much more to this scene, just based on there was supposed to be a closure here. There was supposed to be a closure about this, and we never got that closure. It's still incomplete. And that's why people say that in terms of the trilogy, it's incomplete. There's a lot of connections. People saying it's not connected. It is connected, but it's incomplete.